Welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning more about the functionality available when you work with layers. Let's begin by opening the Layers Properties panel. As you remember, we can click this button, or we can type LA in the command line and press Enter. Let's begin by creating a few layers. Layers by default are named and numbered sequentially as Layer 1, Layer 2, Layer 3, and so on. The new layers we create assume the properties of the layer you've got selected. Let's change the color to red. Notice the colors in this strip at the bottom of the screen. They are named in this field. I select red and I see red, green, and so on. However, the color swatches up above don't have names associated with them. They simply have numbers. Let's go back to red. We've also got the option to use true color. Or we can go to the color book and choose a color from there. Let's click OK. Layer 1 is currently selected. Let's create another layer. The default name is Layer 2. The new layer assumes the properties of the layer that was selected. Let's change the color to yellow. OK. Let's create a couple more layers. And let's change their colors. Let's say green. This one, cyan. And click OK. Let's close the panel now. And now I'm going to place in some geometry. Currently, Layer 0 is our active layer. Let's go to Layer 1. Layer 2. The rectangle tool remains active. Layer 3. And Layer 4. And our last rectangle. Let's click the Match command in the Layers panel. It's right here. This command moves objects from one layer to another. It's pretty convenient. Let's select the green rectangle. Right-click to finish the selection. Now select an object from the destination layer. I'll select the yellow rectangle. Visually, it looked like my rectangle changed color, but what's happened is that it's actually changed layers. Let's undo. Now let's take a look at the Isolate tool. This tool hides or locks all layers except those of the selected object. Let's activate the command. Choose a layer by selecting in the drawing window. When I finish the selection, press Enter. The two layers I selected remain visible. The other layers are now grayed out. If you don't see the grayed out effect, expand the panel flyout. Pin it down. Click Locked Layer Fading. And here's a slider that lets us set the transparency level. Now we can work with the isolated layers a little more easily. For example, moving objects from one layer to another. Now when I mouse over the geometry on a locked layer, I see the lock symbol. If I want to place geometry there, let's learn how to do it. Let's activate the Snap toggle. Activate the Line tool. I can still snap to geometry on the locked layers. Press Escape to exit the Line tool. And when you're done, to unisolate the layer, just click the Unisolate button, which is right beside the Isolate button. There's a couple more tools, Freeze and Turn Layer Off. Let's try Freeze. This freezes the layer of any selected object. Activate the tool, select the object, and let's select another object. Those two layers are now frozen. As we can see from the drop-down menu, the snowflake icon indicates that they're frozen. We can unfreeze the layer right from this drop-down menu. Just click the snowflake switch to thaw. We can also go to the Layers Properties panel and do it from there. And we can simply click Thaw All Layers in the menu flyout. The next option is to turn layers off. Select the objects whose layers we want to turn off, and they disappear. And let's press Escape to exit the tool. We can turn the layers on right from the drop-down menu by clicking the light bulb icon. There's also a button, Turn All Layers On, right here. We're also able to lock layers. Select the objects whose layers we want to lock. With the layer locked, the color remains the same, but the line weight appears very thin now. When I mouse over the geometry, the locked symbol appears. If you're having trouble seeing your locked layers, you can adjust the transparency. You can unlock layers from the drop-down menu switch. Just click on the lock icon. You can do the same thing from the Layers Property panel. Or you can click Unlock, and this will unlock the layer of any selected object. Now let's learn how the previous tool works. This tool kind of works like an undo button, but for layers. Let's go to the Layers Properties panel. I'm going to Control Select these 3 layers here, layer 1, 2, and 4. Let's change their color to magenta. Click OK. Now let's right-click and scroll to Select All but Current. Let's change the line type. Let's say Hidden Lines. Hidden to. OK. Lastly, I'm going to turn Layer 0 off. And let's go ahead and make some edits. Press Escape to exit the tool. Now let's restore the layers to their original states. Just click the previous command. And the last set of changes that we made to the layer settings is undone instantly. And this concludes our tutorial about working with layers.